Hi there, welcome to I Lone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. It's too many. We're going to get out the cards and then we're going to read the story from a couple different perspectives because people are at different emotional maturity levels in their Virgo nature. Virgo is earth sign energy, and it could talk about in a more worldly sense that kind of our long-term goal and focus can be more on these things of the world. And I think regardless of if you're a loving, motivated person, we're pretty caught up in the world for the first 30, 50 years of our life. There's a lot of things, we got a lot of lessons to learn. Virgo's about learning lessons. And, to learn those lessons, we got to kind of go down the wrong path to find out, get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And, there's a lot of things that we can be tempted by in the world that we're probably going to go invest in thinking, no, I'm sure that will work. And then we learn that that doesn't really work for us, or that wasn't a good idea. And high vibe Virgo is about getting all high vibe energy, is about willing to humble yourself, learn lessons in life, accept the truth. These aren't good things to me to invest in to that degree, and I kind of need to temper my ego and go about things maybe in a more balanced way, take the lessons I learned from that experience and move forward in life. And to keep growing and healing and maturing yourself, here we have the Knight of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. Uh, the Knight of Pentacles kind of wants to become the King of Pentacles. And in high vibe, it would be freeing yourself from things that manipulate you and aren't kind of in alignment with your truth. And high vibe energy would be truth and love and justice and fairness. And shadowy people could be more about in their Virgo nature, and it's just more about them and the things of the world or things they indulge in, or being more about themselves. So, people are at different stages of having learned these lessons, and it's just to realize when we meet people, kind of to get to know them, to see kind of what lessons they've learned in life, what kind of drives and motivates them. Oh, yeah, and at the end of the story, everybody here we have the Knight of Pentacles wanting to invest in moving forward. And the reason for the next group of cards is the Chariot, which can talk about what we view as victorious and successful. And again, some people's truth is it's more just being in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. I want to have a job. That makes me look victorious and successful. And they could get in those jobs, those friendships, and their relationships driven more by those reasons. The other people are investing in jobs, friendships, and relationships in high vibe energy of Cancer from love. But other people could harness their Cancer energy in a more shadowy way. What they love is being more about themselves, or things they indulge in, or things they make their life about, other than love being the foundational truth. I want it to be more about me. Look how I feel so victorious and successful. Look, I boss and control everyone in my life. Look at me looking like a boss in the world, And regardless of what people's truth is, um, everybody could have to balance out their emotions about the fact that they're not choosing the other option, right? So high vibe people motivated and inspired by truth and love. In high vibe, the Empress is about love. They want to give birth to new things, willing to learn these lessons, willing to temper. Over here we have the Queen of Wands, which is Leo energy. Temper their more worldly, egoic nature to keep being more inspired by truth and love, so they can keep shedding old layers of themselves to give birth to the next version of themselves, the more stable, grounded, insightful, self-aware, emotionally mature, loving, balanced version of themselves. And while those people are doing that in the world, the other people are balancing out their emotions that they don't choose to live their life that way, and that they could be moving away from people in their life who are more just and fair and loving, because in shadow, the Empress can be male or female. They want to make their life more about them or these things of the world. It can be being the indulged, privileged person in a relationship emotionally, or money and materialism. And they're more choosing to align with their egoic nature in their Leo energy. So right now, what we have to accept is everybody is where they're at. Everybody views life the way they view it. Everybody's motivated and inspired by what they're motivated and inspired by and what they love. The Two of Cups, like the Chariot, is Cancer energy. Everybody is investing in the things that are aligned with their truth. In High Vibe, holding the One Pentacle talks about what people's truth is. So if you're wondering why some people aren't investing in you, it could be because they know your truth and they know their truth, and your truth is different than their truth. And so that's why some of those people aren't investing in you. Other people could be investing in you because they feel your truth is their truth, you know? And other people are investing in other people because they think their truth is the same. Sometimes we're right about that and our truth is the same. And sometimes we're not right about that. And we think our truth is the same, right? But at any given moment, we kind of think the way we think, feel the way we feel, want to go invest our time, energy, and effort into what we think will make us happy. And then we have the Moon, the Magician card, which a magician is Gemini, which is about our dualistic free will nature, and Virgo. And then we have the Knight of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, or the King of Pentacles, and the Four of Swords. So, at any given moment, well, at least what high vibe people are doing, and based on some of the lessons they've learned in their life, they've probably learned to, in high vibe, the Chariot can be about maintaining balance within yourself, and the Four of Swords can talk about its Libra energy represented by the scales of justice. So high vibe people have learned some lessons in life, and one of the things they've learned is to maintain balance within themselves. Shadowy, more worldly energy can be that you're tipped out of balance. You're kind of indulging poor behavior in yourself, or you're indulging poor behavior in others, and hoping things will work out. But we move forward most victoriously and successfully when we stay focused on the truth and love and maintain balance within ourselves. Wanting to get to know people and invest in other people, but maintaining balance within ourselves so we're not indulging people in poor behavior. And the Moon in Pisces, which Virgo and Pisces are on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel, and getting balance between our Virgo worldly nature of things we want to manifest in the world, but also equally wanting just and fair and loving relationships. In our Virgo nature, we have to be balanced with our Pisces nature. And, yes, I want some of these things of the world, but I also want emotionally fulfilling, just and fair relationships. So I need to maintain balance between the fact as I go down the road of life that, yes, I want these things of the world, but I'm not going to let those things so impact me that I'm willing to sacrifice justice, fairness, truth, and love. We have free will, and when we make these free will decisions, something is sacrificed. And high vibe people are trying to, not sacrifice the important things in their life. Yes, I want some of these things in the world just like other people, but I also want truth and love and justice and fairness. So if I'm going to sacrifice something, it's sacrificing things and people that lie outside to the extremes. It's like going down the road of life in the Chariot and kind of trying to stay between the bumper guards of life so you don't drive your life off into the ditch and sacrifice too much of kind of your truth, because you have a dream that you're probably trying, you have your idea of the dream life and you're trying to manifest that. So you're listening to your intuition as you move forward. High vibe Gemini, in your dualistic nature, free will, would be about love and truth. In high vibe Virgo, taking the lessons that you've learned with you as you get to know other people in the world and move forward with certain people in your life. And, as you move forward in life, you're going to meet people in a world of duality. Some of them are going to be more immature. Some of them are going to be more about the world. Some of them are going to think it's just and fair to live their life that way, who want to be in friendship and relationship with you. And they kind of want you to, they're trying to more tempt you in your more worldly nature. And there's going to be other high vibrational people in the world who are inspired that you might maintain balance within yourself. You're just, you're fair, you're balanced, you're loving, you are who you say you are. You're loving and encouraging, and those people like you and want to move forward with you because that's the energy they're in. And you're going to listen to your intuition about who's who. And as you kind of get to know some people who you think, the Knight of Wands can be people kind of in a more immature energy, you're probably gonna, you can be friends and acquaintances with them and work with them, but you're more motivated to work with people who are more stable, more grounded, more mature, more balanced. A king would be more mature than a knight, and this can be male or female. The masculine figures can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world. When we kind of go take our worldly vessel of self out in the world, is considered masculine energy. But in shadow, some people could be operating more, it can represent operating more from their ego nature. So that's why you have to listen to your intuition, because everyone can present themselves in the world. I'm this just and fair and stable and grounded and mature person. You should be my friend. You should date me. You should marry me. You should work here. And you have to listen to your intuition to get to know people, to figure out the truth. Who is kind of wearing a false mask and they're really more immature. Just want to kind of maybe more indulge themselves in a relationship or a friendship, try to manipulate people, try to confuse people about the truth of who they are and who really is who they say they are. And, it would kind of be based on the actions that they take, and things that they could say. Do they seem more stubborn, more prideful, more immature, more about ego and image, more superficial and shallow? Are they someone who seems to be more balanced within themselves? Has maybe moved on from these illusions and their more immature, self indulgent nature, and have seen the truth of detaching from whatever phases of life you've detached from. So, for example, when we were age 15, age 18, age 21, age 25, we had a certain way of living life and viewing life. And other people in those same age groups, were somewhere on the spectrum of their emotional maturity level, prideful energy, bossy, whatever, right? And it's just to try to find the people that are kind of on the same page as you and see who kind of seems to be wherever you're at. And in high vibe, it would hopefully be that, I don't want to repeat some old patterns. I'm ready to move forward. I want justice. High vibe Libra is about wanting justice and fairness and balance. If some people are still kind of immature, have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship or how to work together with people in a more just or fair or balanced way, I'm going to go let them go hang out with some other people. And I'm going to focus more on the people in my life who do seem to kind of be more on the same page of having learned some lessons or emotional maturity. And then we have the Queen of Wands and the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Hermit, which is Virgo energy. Oh, wait, this is the Eight of Pentacles. That's also Virgo energy. And the reason for that is the Temperance card, which, like the Knight of Wands over here, is Sagittarius energy. In high vibe, Sagittarius energy is about kind of trying to offer truth and love to people in your life who, to help them maybe work through some issues that manipulate them in the magician card, some fears and insecurities that they have. In high vibe, Sagittarius is about higher learning and education and trying to inspire other people to love and believe in themselves, heal, work through past pain and heartbreak, whatever. Maybe try to, if you see some people kind of repeating some patterns that you see kind of doesn't seem to move their life forward, you might tell them, what did you want to try to manifest? And, just try to make them as like, does this align with, is that moving your life forward the way you want it to move forward? Because the whole thing is, we kind of have to see what are the habits, vices, ways of viewing ourselves, ways of viewing others, ways of viewing, what we think is just and fair. If we have a dream of being in more balanced, emotionally mature relationships, some people, though, have this illusion like that's going to work out for them, even though they keep repeating some certain patterns that really aren't in alignment with that, right? So, say somebody wants to be victorious and successful at their job, and maybe they had a new job, something that could move forward for them, but they kind of repeat some poor past patterns, whatever that is, in a way that they kind of indulge themselves, and it's kind of like they don't want to see the truth. And, maybe with some of those people in your life, if they wanted to talk to you about it, maybe you tell them that, it'd be better to get to work 10 minutes early than 10 minutes late. It would maybe be better to, um, go out and kind of enjoy your life. But high vibe energy is more about kind of staying in the bumper guards and kind of more in moderation. Maybe don't go out and drink till 3 in the morning. Maybe you could go out and enjoy time with friends or family, but really, if you got to get up the next morning, if you came home at 10, unless it's a weekend, and you don't have to work on the weekend. It's all about trying to see the truth of where we might need to curb just some of our more, how we indulge ourselves in our more immature ways of being, or fearful ways of being, or more tempted in our worldly nature, which can be all those things that we could kind of want to indulge in. But fear, the moon can kind of represent fears and other people in our life who could manipulate us. And again, it could be just like we learn, like, I would rather not be in relationships with people who manipulate me, and I'd rather work with people who aren't trying to manipulate me, And so you can try to be a loving and encouraging person to other people, where before you might have gotten in a more involved relationship with some of those people, but you've kind of learned that if I can see that they're repeating some patterns and live their life in a way that could be a way I used to live my life, but I don't live my life like that anymore. And so it's kind of like that was a phase of life that people can go through. And some people stay in those phases of life all their life. It's like some people live their life like they're an 18 or 21-year-old or 25-year-old all their life. And if you have already been in relationships with people that you kind of feel they have more things that manipulate them, or more fears or insecurities, or don't want to grow up and mature themselves, indulge themselves, aren't very balanced, seem to lack insight, you know? And Virgo energy is about doing this inner work to work through those things and our fears and our insecurities, and see where maybe we even could have kind of tipped out of balance, in the sense that loving people can be very loving and giving and supportive and encouraging to people. And sometimes there's shadowy people in the world. They don't kind of think that way, and it's just to try to manipulate loving people. And because loving people can be just and fair, then they can kind of chase after people if those people are kind of shadowy or manipulative, like, Why are those people not working together with me in a more just and fair way? I'm being just and fair and I want to be their friend. And, sometimes that's what shadowy people are counting on. It's like, you know what? I'm going to just treat people the way I like to be treated. And if they act in these ways that I think are kind of rude or immature or difficult to work with or whatever, bossy or controlling or full of themselves, I'm not going to try to change them. I'm going to accept the truth. That's high vibe Libra. And high vibe King of Pentacles. I'm not going to chase after people anymore. If I am working together with them in a just and fair way and they choose to repeat some poor past patterns, maybe hoping I'll indulge them in that way. I've probably indulged enough people in my life and currently have people in my life who are more significant in my life. Like, generally, that would be like your immediate family, that even though they're maybe kind of immature or whatever, you can extend them more grace, but you don't want to pick up new people in your life. You know, family can be different where you can extend a little more grace to them, but just other people at work or in your community or whatever, no. You have your family that can indulge you that way. Um, and just seeing the truth of who's who. And the people in your life that are moving forward with you, you could have been loving and encouraging and supportive of each other throughout life. You could have some people in your life you've been in a relationship with for a long time. And other people that you've met along the way, the people in your life who are kind of more motivated and inspired to be more just and fair and treat other people the way they like to be treated are probably the people who kind of keep moving forward with you. And eventually, the people who's that's not really their truth and they really do kind of like to try to make it more about them or are more immature or are more manipulative or something, eventually those relationships can kind of drift apart because you kind of see the truth of them and the way you're living your life really isn't aligned with how they want to live their life. It's kind of like, again, trying to get someone who's more like an 18-year-old to kind of live their life like a 25 or a 30-year-old. You know, they're not there yet. They want to live their life more like an 18-year-old, metaphorically. That's just their emotional maturity level. And trying to conduct themselves and maintain a facade that they're more stable or grounded or balanced than they really are, when that's not really the truth of who they are. Eventually those people will probably kind of repeat some of those patterns, and then they kind of realize they don't want to hang around you and whoever you're hanging around, and you guys don't really want to hang around them. But there always will be people as we move forward who try to create an illusion, that they are these more just and fair and stable and balanced loving people, but they're hiding that they are more immature, that it is just trying to manipulate people for how it benefits them, and basically will indulge themselves in it as long as the other people buy into the illusion of who they are. And sometimes we can be in friendships and relationships with people for quite a while because we could like them, they like us. And it can, we kind of have a hard time of seeing the truth about some people because we don't want to see the truth. But eventually, things keep happening over and over. We just kind of can't keep staying in denial of the truth. And, some people might be going through that kind of with this could represent workplaces and friendships and community things and organizations and family dynamics where, eventually, if there are people trying to create an illusion about the truth of who they are, some people wear a very good false mask. They present themselves as very stable and just and fair and loving, but do they treat people in a just and fair and loving way? Do they treat other people the way they like to be treated? Or is it more trying to tempt people in their worldly nature of, well, you should stay in this job or this friendship or the relationship because of the status or the ego or the image. And then they just kind of want to, that's what motivates and inspires them, not really truth and love, or just so they can indulge in it. And they're really more immature. And, some people can see that and move on. Other people might still be caught up in the illusion of some of those people. Just like you could have people in a friend group, and you and some of your friends or coworkers are kind of like, oh my gosh, and someone new could come in and they don't know, and everybody's, you might not want to tell other people. It's like, well, they'll probably find out on their own. But there too, we can feel bad if we know people are kind of shadowy. And if we're more involved in a friendship group or something with them, and it's kind of helping to create, kind of enable someone who is more shadowy. And so then, we might decide we kind of want to distance ourselves from them, because I don't want to help contribute to enabling and creating this illusion about who someone is. And when other people, get to know them, it's kind of like you're not telling the truth, and you're kind of creating an illusion about who someone is. It's like, I don't want to mislead people, but I also don't want to be I don't want to contribute to the illusion, so I want to maybe distance myself from some of the more shadowy or immature people in my life. Um, because you can see where people could kind of be upset if they come into a group and everybody is like, oh, well, we all know that about that person, and we've kind of all had our own experience, but we're still hanging out with them and being friends with them, or they're our family member. And it helps contribute to the illusion. And then when other people come in, they could go through that, and it's kind of like, why didn't anybody tell me that this person isn't who they say they are, and they're more immature, and so some people could decide, I don't want to contribute to the illusion. I don't agree with how they live their life, and I think they do try to manipulate people or create an illusion about the truth of who they are. So, in High Vibe Four of Swords, you've kind of seen the truth, so that's when you kind of distance yourself. You move forward with the people in your life who, in High Vibe Leo, you think are more authentic. And the Seven of Wands is also Leo. That the Seven of Wands kind of defends the Six of Wands. That in High Vibe, it's people who are moving forward, not more from their shadowy Leo nature of ego. They are inspired to be more authentic, more forthcoming. They really are who they say they are, and they're standing up for themselves. And once people have went through an experience where someone, you know, did kind of create more of an illusion, or they were hurtful or unkind or whatever, it can take some time to work through that. It's one thing to distance yourself from people. Um, it's another thing to emotionally kind of work through it, and work through the inner conflict of it, and be ready to kind of give birth to something new. So people take this time to put in work and effort in the Virgo Hermit of kind of going within to balance out their emotions about the fact that I went through an experience, I met some people that weren't who they said they were. And I don't want to stay defensive, and I don't want to keep being in my ego, and I don't want to be defensive to other people. I need to kind of do this work within myself to, for one, see there's always going to be shadowy people in the world. And if I don't want to repeat that pattern, I need to get to the truth. And the Empress is Libra and Taurus, so High Vibe Libra can be again in the Four of Swords, I need to meditate on the truth of this. What wasn't I seeing? And part of it could have been previously people could have been more tempted in their more worldly nature, and they weren't listening as much to their intuition. And their intuition could have even been telling them, there's some differences going on here. This person really seems to be more this way. This person could be more about themselves, more about the world. I don't think they're very balanced. I don't think they're kind of more motivated by love. They could be more about themselves. If they're more about the ego and image and want to be in relationships for those reasons, and that's not the driving factor that you want to be in it, it's more should be for love. Well, that's their truth and you have your truth, and we got to go on that journey to learn those lessons. And High Vibe Sagittarius is kind of going on that journey to learn those lessons. And then it's to work on seeing the truth about it. And that could be that, again, you needed to get more balance within yourself to not be tempted more in your overgiving nature, where you do indulge people in poor behavior because you think everybody's motivated by love, to realize some people aren't. And living in a world where people have free will choice, there's all these different people on the spectrum, and 50% of the people at any given time are probably more motivated and inspired by love. And 50% of the people are kind of more motivated by themselves or these things of the world as the reason why they want to be in a relationship. So realizing the importance of I have to learn to love myself because of my more immature nature. I could have been looking just for, wanting to be in friendship and relationship, thinking everybody's motivated by love, got myself in some more mismatched relationships, and that wasn't the case. Some people were, some people weren't. And I need to learn to love myself, maintain balance within myself. High vibe Virgo, know my worth and value, listen more to my intuition, take these lessons I've learned. Don't give up on my dreams, be inspired to stand up for my truth, because basically everybody else is standing up for their truth. And the shadowy people defend harnessing this energy in a more defensive way. They are not interested in your truth. That is not their truth. They have their truth, and it is about, how they view life and how they live life and why they want to be in relationships, get in relationships, stay in relationships. And that truth is different than your truth. And they might know that there's things, they might know they're deceptive, they're manipulative, they're bossy, they're controlling, they're immature, they're materialistic. They could have things and people in their life and all the world at large manipulates them. Some of those things might bother them, but you'd have to be willing to put in the work and effort to look at those things that manipulate you to free yourself from them. And that, in Virgo energy, takes work and effort. And you'd have to be willing to deal with the truth. You'd have to see the truth of how, like other people did. Oh, I was being more immature. I was more caught up in the superficial or indulging my more immature nature. I need to see the truth of it. I need to, if I want to give birth to something new and not keep repeating a pattern all my life, I need to see the truth of where I need to heal and grow and mature myself, temper myself. I need to see about the different people I'm drawn and attracted to, why I'm drawn and attracted to them. See where other people in my life can be more immature, prideful, or manipulative. And I need to accept the truth of it. And some people don't want to see the truth about themselves, and they don't want to see the truth about other people in their life. And we need to accept the truth of that. We can't make other people invest in the truth. We can't make other people get more balance within themselves. We can't make other people temper their ego. We can't make other people deal with their fears and insecurities. We can't, you could point out to people this and this and this, and those people and whoever really manipulate you, and it really affects the decisions that you make or how you feel about yourself. if you were to work through those things, you know, you could probably free yourself from them. But we can't make people do that. And people could, you and other people who have experienced people at these different stages of life, and, you know, there's always going to be some people who are going to defend those people and keep indulging them, either because they are their family and they kind of don't want to see the truth either about some people in their life who they could know are kind of immature or manipulative, or they're in their friend group and they don't want to detach in that friend group, and so nobody tells the truth about some people who, you know, and we could think, you know, we can always think in our life maybe that, well, I don't think they're that bad, and, you know, well, we can see how that story can expand where in the big scheme of life, you know, where people are in jobs, they are in maybe some bigger things, and then it can be more of a problem, and people are hiding much bigger things that people are doing that really are kind of quite shadowy, you know. And it's, you know, it's just where everybody is willing to draw the line in their own unique circumstance in their own life. And there's always going to be some people who might keep indulging some people, defending people, not wanting to see the truth about people. And there's other people who aren't going to keep defending those people and standing up for those people and see the truth of those people, and wish some other people would maybe see the truth of those people, especially say if it's at work. You know, say there's a bad manager or something like that, and more high vibrational people could move on or get out of that department or leave that company, because even an employer could be codependent on someone, and then they become more and more codependent on those people and have indulged them more and more, and they keep being defensive to seeing the truth that this person is the problem, but they could be codependent on them. Who would I find to replace them? Or that person knows so much, and now that all the good people have left, they're the only one who knows that shit. You know, well, be a good boss. High vibe energy is be a good leader. And sometimes if we're in situations where other people want to keep hiding from the truth, want to keep moving forward, hiding the truth, that can be when other people are like, you know, you can keep hiding the truth and move forward in that way. I'm not going to move forward with you. You can find someone else to be your friend, date you, marry you, work here. You can move forward. I am not going to keep moving forward and investing in hiding the truth. I'm not going to keep working somewhere where I think the reason, or being in something where I think the primary reason why people want to be in it and want me to be in it is to indulge them, or more for the ego or the image or the status. If that's not my truth of why I want to be in things, I'm going to let you go do that with someone else. And some of those people are doing that with other people. It's like, that's fine. Teach your own. If the other people want to work there, if the other people want to be their friend, if the other people want to date them or marry them, they have free will. I hope you enjoy your life. I know I didn't enjoy it. So I wasn't willing to keep moving forward with it because I didn't view it as victorious and successful. So when people quit moving forward, they distance themselves from some people to let those people move forward with whoever they want to move forward with. And while those people move forward, they could take this time to consider their truth and what really motivates and inspires them, and learn the lesson and who and what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort in, and maybe do some of this getting to know other people. You know, it's just like with our free will, sometimes we can get into certain friendships and relationships and we didn't get in other friendships and relationships, or we kind of knew those people but then we kind of got out of those ones and invested more in a different one. And then we might communicate with some people in our life, um that, hey, now I could kind of realize that maybe I was caught up in the illusion. Maybe I had to learn some lessons. And again, high vibe energy, willing to humble yourself to say, I was kind of caught up in this, or I bought into the illusion of this, or I was more motivated by this. I had some growing up and maturing to do. And when you do that, if other people feel like you're telling the truth and you're being authentic, high vibe Leo, high vibe King of Pentacles, and you're high vibe Virgo, you're telling the truth. Some of those people, they could have seen, we've all kind of went down the wrong path, and we could have all had friends and family members that are like, why are they doing that? And I don't think they should be hanging out with those people, or I think they're kind of going down a wrong path. Some of those people, when we kind of learn some lessons in life, if you're willing to tell people the truth, there's going to be some people that could, depending on how things ended, if it wasn't hurtful or unkind, people could have been a little bit in their ego. Same way if you had people do that to you, you could be a little bit in your ego, that some people hung out with those people and you kind of were trying to get to know them and they didn't seem to be as interested, or somebody you wanted to date or you had dated, and if people come forward and they seem to be truthful and authentic, you know, just like you could be willing to kind of balance things out with people, maybe a little on guard until you work with them for a while to see if they really have kind of learned those lessons, have seemed to have kind of got more balanced or loved themselves or grown up or matured themselves. If in those cases people could balance things out and move forward together, right? Um, and those are always possibilities. But right now, people are moving forward, living their life the way they think is aligned with their truth. The shadowy people are hiding that they're more immature and maybe more about themselves or more about the ego and image. And eventually, if some people right now, as they're trying to give birth to something new, see the other people are like, can't we just keep doing this? I like this. And the other people are like, we've kind of done that phase long enough. Now it's time to move forward to give birth to like the next version. It's kind of like, again, if you were to relate it to work where, you hire someone every to a degree, things seem to be okay that people keep moving forward, but eventually people might want people to step up more. And if some people keep being resistant to that and they keep, that's when some people might see the truth. Who seems to be willing to put in more work and effort, are less defensive, less self-indulgent, less lazy, more motivated and inspired to take on more things, you know responsibility or whatever, and who's not, and that's where some people who are kind of shadowy or kind of like to indulge themselves and keep thinking people will indulge them. People I kind of think are going to call judgment on them eventually, and eventually other people they'll hire different people or work with other people, give more of those things to other people. And the thing is, it's one thing, sometimes shadowy people, they want to move forward and get the rewards without putting in the work and effort. Hiding, they want to be indulged. And of course, that would upset other people. I feel like this person doesn't really put in the work and effort, but because of some reason, their job experience or education or whatever, but I don't really think they put in the work and effort. And I think they're kind of lazy and more self indulgent. Other people are not going to be happy with that. And, that's the thing of making these decisions in life. Are we going to give birth to something new? Or are we going to keep giving birth to the same thing, kind of hiding the truth? And there's consequences for the decisions that we make because other people have their idea of what's just and fair. And, the people who like to be more indulged, if they don't think they're going to be more indulged, they would probably quit and go find a different friend group or a different job. Well, if they were kind of being shadowy and defensive or lazy or kind of want to be indulged, it should be good riddance. Let's look at the people that we do have here and who is motivated and inspired within themselves to keep learning new things and taking on more responsibilities. Okay, then you're the person. Let's start working on those things. Um, and if people keep moving forward with people who could be a little more shadowy or defensive, some other more high vibe people are going to leave the situation. So, just like there can be a family dynamic or a friendship group or a work group or whatever, where people kind of enable kind of shadowy behavior, more high vibe people aren't going to keep moving forward. It's kind of like in any dynamic, a majority can kind of rule. It's either the more hopeful, believing, loving people who are being loving and encouraging, and those people need to see the truth about kind of how the shadowy people are trying to kind of become the majority and, you know, make the more hopeful, believing, loving people indulge them. At which point, the more hopeful, believing, loving people could move on and it's just shadowy people left in the group. And I think that's what ultimately happens for shadowy people sometimes. Um, I'm also getting a card out of the Cost of Becoming deck. And we got that door closed because it was never real. So, for some people that we gotten job friendships and relationships and people created an illusion about the truth of who they were, we were eventually inspired to keep kind of moving forward in life and those people weren't. And that's why our truth was different. How we wanted to move forward was different. And the truth kind of sets you free. You kind of have to work through learning the lesson you're meant to learn at a certain stage of life to become independent of it and even want to become independent of it. Just like we had to quit being more like a 15 or an 18-year-old to become like an 18 or a 21-year-old. And some people really don't want to become independent of a cycle. They like living their life the way they do. Other people could have liked living their life that way at a point in time also. They just don't want to live their life that way forever. It becomes like dead energy. Never giving birth to anything new. Love gives birth to new things. And like in romantic relationships, it becomes a more deep, meaningful relationship. And some people in their fire sign nature within themselves, they don't want to do a more deep, meaningful relationship. Let's do this and stay in it for all these reasons. I don't want to see the truth. It should be more about love or be more just or fair. I like this. Let's keep doing this. Don't you want to stay in it because of these reasons? Just like an employer that's shadowy can try to keep people staying in a workplace, but they're immature or bossy or controlling and don't want to pay people what they're worth. The more high vibe people can be high vibe and stay because of their circumstances, and when their circumstances change, they could leave. But the people who are more willing to trust their intuition and love and believe in themselves aren't going to keep investing there. They're going to move on. So, what's coming up for the people who harness some more high vibe Virgo energy? What's coming up for them that they might not see coming? Well, they are giving birth to something new. They have learned some lessons in life. They are investing and loving and believing in themselves and healing and being inspired within themselves. No longer want to be in friendships and relationships with people who want to manipulate them or somehow be indulged more in a relationship. It's supposed to be just and fair and truthful and authentic. The Seven of Wands, the Four of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles, and the reason is because of the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands in Leo energy, you are inspired to stand up for yourself. You have the things that motivate and inspire you, that you are inspired by, that you view as being victorious and successful and worth defending. And other people have their way of viewing life that they view as victorious and defend. And how you view life and, again, what you want to manifest and what's important to you is different. And you were, high vibe Leo is also represented by the sun. You were illuminated to the truth that your truth was different from some other people. And though it could have made you sad, because you were trying in high vibe to offer people truth and love. And those people, well, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do love. I get hurt doing love. I just kind of more want to indulge in it. They don't want to do love. They want to offer people things of the world. Won't you be in a relationship? I'll give you these things of the world. Isn't that what you want? Aren't you in your more worldly, egoic nature? Don't you want some of these things of the world? Don't you want to be in friendship and relationship and have a job? It's like, sure, but I don't want to be in a relationship with people who are defensive to offering truth and love. So you took that cup of love, and that's how I also view high vibe Leo, is giving yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you to see the truth. Your dream couldn't come into reality with them because your truth is different. And you get out of your ego about it. And it's like, I need to go on the adventure. I need to go invest in people who are more aligned with my truth, because these people, at least some of the people in my life, aren't. And some of the people that you're moving forward with, your truth is their truth. You're standing up and defend them. They stand up and defend you. You offer love and encouragement to each other to keep loving and believing in yourself, to keep growing and healing and maturing yourself. Shed old layers of your more immature nature. See the truth of how your things within you, your fear, your insecurity, your ego, and other people in your life and the world at large manipulate you. You want to keep giving birth to, again, like growing to your full potential. And I can only do that with other people who are motivated to do that. And people who want to keep repeating an old pattern, let's stay in our comfort zone, let's never give birth to anything new. It's like, that's fine. Free will. Everyone can live their life the way they want. That's not my truth. I did kind of heal and grow and mature myself. I'm ready to give birth to the next version of myself and shed an old layer of myself. And I think as you do that, more investing in high vibe, the Empress, just representing love, is letting love and intuition guide you more than your fear and your insecurity and your pride and your ego and your defensive nature. Investing in the divine, believing the divine has a plan for your life, and it is to keep listening to your intuition, to keep, we as human beings, unlike, for example, an apple tree, if we were all apple trees, some people would maybe stop growing at 8 feet. Hey man, I'm 8 feet tall and I got 50 apples. I'm good. And they could live their life like that. An apple tree doesn't have free will. So an apple tree goes through these stages of growth, and it does a period of growth, and then it moves on and it grows to the next stage of life. And then it could grow up to being like, I don't know, maybe 35 feet tall and make maybe 1,000 apples. More than plenty to give, so abundant to be able to give to others. And some people, in their being an apple tree, why would I want to put in more work and effort to keep growing and maturing myself? I have 50 apples. That's enough for me. And they don't even have an interest of being inspired that if I was more balanced, more mature, more stable, I could help in the world. I could even offer love and encouragement to other people. And some shadowy people be like, why do I want to love and encourage anyone? Kind of in their ego, I'm kind of more about myself. Why do I want to give anyone else their flowers or applaud anyone or anything? I'm more about me. I want the attention on me. It's just completely different ways of viewing life and living life. But as you do this, you're living your truth. And everybody else is living their truth. And there's other people in the world that they're living their life and have been in some living life a certain way. And then they could see you, come across you. You could come into a friend group, a neighborhood, a workplace. You're at those things and someone else comes in. It frees us up to meet other people who are more on the same page, basically, is what I'm getting at. And I think the people who are going to be standing up and defending you are other people who are inspired to not keep indulging more immature people or manipulative people or prideful neat people and want to be in relationships with people who are more just, fair, balanced, loving, and encouraging. What's coming up for some people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they don't see coming? This card, why? Because of the Hangman. Let's see what this card is. The Queen of Cups. Well, the Hangman, like the moon, is Pisces energy. And the Hangman can talk about that, we can go through these phases of life, and the Hangman can talk about that we feel stuck. And it's a universe card. It's kind of like, we, thinking we're so smart, do these certain things. It's like, oh, I'm sure this will make me happy, or I'm sure this will be great, or I'm sure whatever, and we do it. Excuse me. Well, then we feel stuck. Well, what do we do when we feel stuck? It's an opportunity kind of for us to look at life from a different perspective. Again, kind of like, what am I not seeing? If I thought this was going to work out the way that I wanted, or I thought this was going to make me happy, or I thought these people were more just or fair, but what I'm trying to give birth to doesn't happen. In order to give, if what I want to give birth to does involve working together with other people, I need to have other people who are motivated and inspired to give birth to that also, right? And sometimes we kind of realize, again, that the people we're working with, they really don't want to do that. If they were motivated and inspired to put in work and effort to give birth to that, they would. But that could require them to have to be more just or fair or balanced or act with character and integrity and temper their immature nature and their egoic nature or work through some past pain and heartbreak. And they might not want to do any of those things. And when high vibe people get in those situations, what other people don't know about them is they have been enlightened to the truth. I'm going to offer love to myself and the situation to try to balance out my emotions about the whole situation. And there's a part of me, human nature, that I would like this to work out the way I wanted it to work out. But I can keep staying stuck and defending something that's not working out the way I want. Or I can kind of get out of my ego, be willing to see the truth that, again, I can be a just, fair, loving, and encouraging person or a good employee and put in work and effort. But everyone is who they are. And either I can be loving and encouraging to people who don't want to be more just and fair and balanced, or I could be working somewhere where I put in work and effort and I'm a just and fair and loving person. But for those people and whatever reasons they have, I'm never going to get justice in the situation, right? And so the high vibe people offer love to themselves. And love is what helps them. Here we have Virgo. Here we have, and in high vibe Virgo, that pentacle is about truth and love. to balance out their emotions. I want these things in the world. That's the Temperance card is also fire sign energy. So in our fire sign nature, there's these things of the world that we want to give birth to. And the Empress can talk about that and also what we want to manifest. But I have to see if it's asking too much of me emotionally or to compromise my truth in order to have those things or keep indulging poor behavior in myself or others. And because of that, more worldly or shadowy people are always going to have some more high vibrational people in their life. And the high vibrational people know how to offer love to themselves, maybe less codependent energy, in order to work through this. And they are inspired to get to the truth. So they put in this work and effort within themselves to work through their fears, their insecurity, their defensive nature, their ego nature, to kind of think through it. And they're basically not willing to give up on their dreams and their truth. And the shadowy people kind of maybe, the shadowy Queen of Cups, I view it as people who want to keep repeating an old pattern. I like living life this way because I view it as Scorpio energy in a more shadowy fixed sign energy of Scorpio. I don't like change. I don't like to step out of my comfort zone. I have my way of living life and viewing life. I don't want to look at life from any other perspective. I don't view life from any other perspective. I don't want to see things from other people's perspective. Shadowy hangman can be fear, but it also can be like Leo, it can be ego and it could be very stubborn. And they haven't learned to offer love to themselves to maybe work through those things. And again, some of them are very full of themselves where I think people should want to be in a friendship or relationship with me, and you shouldn't love and believe in yourself, and you should give up your dreams to make your life just all about me. And that's not just and fair. That's not working together with people cooperatively. But some people, regardless, is like, yeah, well, that's the way I view life. I think that's just and fair. And so what they don't realize is that though they could be in relationships with people who love them, want to be in friendships and relationships with them, those people also love themselves. And the hangman in high vibe is about being enlightened to the truth. I am not so stubborn or prideful that if I put work and effort into making something work, I can't do it all on my own if I'm working together with other people. Other people have to be willing to work cooperatively with me. And I kind of see the truth. Who does want high vibe Scorpio, like high vibe Leo, is wanting to be in more deep, meaningful relationships. Be more authentic. Free yourself from your ego nature. And kind of seeing the truth of who does want to do that and who kind of is defensive to that, wants to keep repeating these old patterns or ways of living life. And the high vibe people in their life balance out their emotions. They work through their fear, their insecurities, their immaturity, and love and believe in themselves, not to live a life of illusion, make their life more just about being in a relationship to be in a relationship, or the ego or the image and the status, and think they'll be happy. Love is what makes it all worthwhile. And sometimes we're in relationships with people who present themselves as loving, but they're really operating from their ego nature. It's just an illusion they present, but they never come out from behind their ego and their more defensive nature to really be in a deep, meaningful relationship. They always operate from their more self-protective and defensive nature, or their more egocentric, be more about themselves nature. And other people see the truth of it and they move on. And they could be shocked that other people do that, especially if it, by worldly standards, looks very victorious and successful. You're willing to give up these things of the world? Well, that's our shadow nature represented by the devil, right? You won't give up these things of the world, will you? You won't have hope and faith and belief in yourself and in love. Kind of align with the divine. Can't we keep you stuck and trapped in the illusion that this will make you happy? It's like, this can't make me happy if it's not truthful and authentic and just and fair and loving. It's the illusion of love. And the high vibe people move on, and the shadowy people are defensive that you put in work and effort to see the truth and stood up for yourself, love yourself, and you're giving birth to something new. You moved on to the next level of the video game of life. And while you're doing that, freed yourself from a cycle that you have no interest in repeating again, those people are going to go back. They were defensive to giving birth to anything new. They were defensive to the truth, defensive of looking at life from any other perspective, defensive of getting out of their immature nature or their egoic nature. And they're going to go back and go try to find someone else in the world who maybe doesn't know the truth of who they are. And they'll restart the whole thing all over again. And then it'll be up for those people to decide what they're going to do. And it really doesn't matter to you because you've moved on. If those people want to stay in it, they can stay in it. But again, eventually the more high vibe people might move on. Don't want to stay in something that's more dead and stagnant. And so I think ultimately they'll be more surrounded by people like themselves who also maybe don't want to do love, don't want to get out of their defensive nature or their ego nature or their immature nature, their materialistic nature, don't want to quit indulging in the things they indulge in that they think, well, is the answer to their problems. And I think ultimately, though, everybody could feel stuck because nobody's really willing to get out of their ego and be more authentic. It's all just superficial and shallow, creating an illusion of what wonderful people they are and what a wonderful life they have. But it can be more all for these reasons of the world. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.